So I am going to pull the valve covers off, and then I'll show you the valve adjustment and kind of walk you through how we're going to do that. Now I'm also going to pull this valve cover off. And to do that, what we're going to do is we're just going to take these 4 bolts right here out. Now these little clips right here are designed to spread out the pressure that the bolt puts onto the valve cover, so that we spread it out and get the whole valve cover pushing down to try and keep these from leaking. Now one of the things that I'm going to do when I pull this off, I'm going to take a look. These have a tendency to bend right here, and when they do, they won't tighten down the way that they're supposed to. This one looks like somebody's actually hammering it down just a little bit. Anyways, we're going to check that. We're going to put new gaskets on this, and this is where we're going to get to adjust the valves. So I'm going to pull the other side off, and then we're going to come back and I'm going to show you the valve adjustment sequence. Alright, so we're going to put this hose back in the spark plug hole. This is the hose that we use to check our compression. We're going to put that back in there so that we can find compression top dead center on this number 1 cylinder. Alright, now I'm going to hold my thumb over the end of this hose, and we're just going to bump the starter a little bit. So just bump the key. Okay, stop it right there. So, I don't know if you guys heard that, but that push of air was this cylinder coming up on top dead center. So now what we're going to do is we're going to look at the timing marks and bring this up to top dead center. Okay, so we are going to find top dead center by turning the crankshaft, and we're going to look at this timing right here. And we're going to line this little white line right up here with the 0 on this indicator. So I've got this engine on top dead center on the number 1 cylinder. And what we're going to do is we're going to adjust these valves. Now, what you want to do is you want to back these off just a little bit until you can freely turn the push rod. And then what you're going to do is you're going to start to tighten it down. That's going to get a little resistance right there, and then you're going to turn this a half a turn. Okay? And do the same thing on the exhaust side. Bring it in until it starts to get resistance, and then we're going to turn it a half a turn. Now what we're going to do is we're going to turn the crankshaft a quarter of a turn, and then we're going to go to the next cylinder. So on this engine, the firing order is 1-8-4-3-6-5-7-2. So we're going to turn this engine a quarter of a turn, and then we're going to go and adjust the valves on cylinder number 8. And so on until we get all the way back here to the number 1 cylinder. And then we're going to check the play in the timing chain once we get back to the number 1 cylinder. So I'm going to adjust these valves, and I'll bring you back and show you how we're going to check the timing chain. Okay, so we've finished adjusting the valves on this engine, and now what we're going to do is we are going to check the play in the timing chain. And we're going to do that. We've brought the crankshaft back up to top dead center on number 1, and now what we're going to do is we're going to turn that back until this distributor starts to move. And then we're going to see how many degrees of rotation it takes before we start to move the distributor. And that'll tell us how much play we have in our timing chain. All right, Hunter, go ahead. And then what we're going to do is just keep an eye on this. And when it starts to move, then we're going to stop.
Okay, you want me to turn it the way I was?
No, the other way.
Okay.
Okay, it went right away. Alright. Alright, let's go ahead and come back this other direction again. Watch that distributor really close. Come back. Okay. Alright, so that tells us that this timing chain is tight, which means that it's probably been replaced fairly recently. We're going to install this valve cover back on this car with our new gaskets. What this is designed to spread the torque from this bolt out over the length of the valve cover a little bit more. What I'm going to do is I'm going to start that bolt in there, and I'm going to put the gasket on the other end of it, and I'm going to let this bolt help me hold this gasket in place while I put this on the car. Now, if you've noticed, if you look down here, I've got everything pushed back out of the way. I've cleared this up as much as I can so that I can just reach down in here. And that's going to help me as I line up these holes. It's going to help me to keep the gasket in place. And I'm going to get these top bolts installed. And then I'm going to come in here and install these bottom bolts as well. Sometimes you just have to kind of use a tool to be able to do this, but we're going to see how this goes. Now this exhaust manifold kind of sticks out here in the way just a little bit. Anyways, we'll get this all lined up and put together. Now that we've got the valve adjustment done, we put new valve cover gaskets on it. Hopefully that'll clear up some of the leaking that we had in here. So we'll get this tightened up, and then we'll bring you back. We're going to replace the cap and rotor, and we're going to actually, maybe we'll just go ahead and bring this down. We're going to just snug it down for right now, and then we'll go ahead and get the torque wrench out when I get both sides on, and we'll torque them down. So the torque specification on this valve cover is 36 inch-pounds. So we've got our torque wrench set to 36 inch-pounds. We're going to go ahead and torque this down. Okay, we'll put the other side on, and then we're going to do cap and rotor, put all of our spark plug wires on, and then we should be ready to start this and let it run for a minute and see how it runs.